So, Rod, this is not your first time in Branson.
First time in this convention center, but no, not the first time in Branson.
You had some pretty wild days ending the session this year, the legislative session.
Every end of session is always wild. There's no doubt.
Are you glad to be out of the legislature, or are you going to miss it?
Yeah, no, I had my chance. I've got 8 years of service in. Term limits obviously ends that, and had a chance to do the best I could to hopefully make things better and leave feeling very good about the direction of the state and where we are today versus where we were 8 years ago when I first went to GSU.
The last 5 days were kind of exciting there.
Well, they always are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always some big issues. There's always a conflict. There's always people not getting what they want or getting what they want. So it was no different than every other end of session I've ever been a part of.
There was a lot of political pressure on I know our local representative Wood about the village law and probably some other counties. How was that leverage to that particular political issue leveraged to make Missouri a better place in those past 5 days?
Well, there's a difference of opinion on the village law. In my opinion, letting local landowners have power over what they do with their land is very important, something that I think is the right thing. I mean, there's a lot of county commissioners, which I'm a former county commissioner myself. There's a lot of planning and zoning boards, and they have friends. They play favorites, and if you're their buddy, you get your project. If you're not, you don't. Matter of fact, I had a reporter tell me he just drove down DD Highway, and all of it down DD Highway where this controversy was, there's projects and developments everywhere, but for some reason, Mr. Plaster couldn't get his approved. I wonder why that is. So, I mean, whenever you have a big population, planning and zoning is a more needed thing. I would not disagree with that. But there's a lot of counties like where I live, and there's places where it's not, and let landowners do what they want is a great thing, in my opinion.
So let me be straight here. Are you suggesting that they were being a player hater because they didn't like Plaster personally, or it was isolated to one person?
Well, from what I understand, if you drive up and down DD Highway, there's a whole lot of developments that have been approved. It seems awful ironic that his wasn't. I don't know the whole situation there, but his is not any different from stories I hear all over the state, where a planning and zoning board approves one project but not another. They like this guy, they don't like that. That guy took him out to dinner, this guy didn't. And so I liked giving the landowners back a little power to say, buddy, we're going to do it our way. And I'm not aware of any place that anyone was trying to do a village that they were trying to do something bad. They were all trying to make progress and do things properly and nice.
There was a suggestion that there was some funny business in putting that into the economic stimulus package last year. How do you respond to that?
At first, it wasn't put in the economic development package. It was put into a local government bill. And I've been in Just City for 8 years. Typically, a local government bill passes every 1 or 2 years. It's loaded up with all kinds of issues that are local government oriented. They always call them omnibus bills, and that's where this provision was put into last year.
Okay, and what now?
Normal process, actually.
Very normal process. So it wasn't a sneaky, unusual thing that happened.
It could not have been snuck in. As a matter of fact, it was put in a committee a month before the end of session. It passed a committee vote. After the committee vote,
which committee?
The local government committee.
Local government committee.
The experts on local government issues.
Right.
After it went through that committee, it's set on the House calendar for over 20 days. Any member could study it, read the summary, look at it. It was brought up on the House floor, debated for well over 6 hours, had over 50 amendments to take things out or put things into it. After it passed the House, it went to the Senate. They put us in conference. We went to a conference committee, which people don't know what that means, but that means you get senators and reps from each chamber to come together and work out all the differences. They went through item by item the whole entire bill. Anything that was different from the House version Senate version had to be discussed and either put in or taken out. It was left in. Then both chambers again voted on the bill for final passage. So there was no way this was snuck in at the last minute, 11th hour session, as was portrayed in the press in a lot of points. And obviously that gets said, but if people go back and look at that record, they'll see that it just didn't happen.
Interesting. What are you going to do now that you're not in the legislature?
I'm working on campaigns.
Oh, cool.
I did that before I got here. I love working on campaigns. I like supporting people that I philosophically believe with, people that want to kind of let free market, the capitalism roll. We want to get government out of people's hair and do what we've done in the state. Take our state from a place that had very few, big unemployment to now record number of jobs, high deficits to now huge surpluses, a Medicaid program that was broken and not serving the most vulnerable citizens to one that's now giving them access to quality health care, and a state that was withholding money from education and now a state that's passed the largest education budget in state history. I mean, those are some positive things. So you say, well, hey, I'm very happy leaving. I gave it my best shot. Before I got here, we had deficits. Since I've been here, things have worked a lot better.
Any gubernatorial candidates that you're supporting?
With Kenny Hulshoff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm supporting Kenny.
Are you heading his campaign?
No, I'm not working for him. I'm just volunteering to help him.
Got
I
it,
think
got it.
and Sarah's a good lady too. Two good Republicans in that race. Whoever wins, I think we're going to be well served in general. But I grew up in Mississippi County, where Kenny Holstall's from. Back a long ways with him.
Okay, any last words, anything about the Senate or things that you don't think were, excuse me, not the Senate, but the legislature that weren't covered that you thought needed to have more attention brought to?
Well, there's two areas that I could say that we need to make more changes. It's in the labor reform, right to work, paycheck protection. That's an area where I think we've never been able to accomplish things. And then school choice. In the inner cities of Kansas City, St. Louis, we've got thousands of kids that aren't getting an education. They're going to prison. They're costing our state a fortune. They're getting on Medicaid because they can't get a job, all because they're not learning. And we need to try to find a way to do it differently, because what we're doing now is not working up there. And that was one of the areas we couldn't make a lot of progress. So if I'm leaving with things that we didn't get done after my 8 years, those are the two areas that I wish